Hello from Delmarva. Welcome back to Shorebilly Farmer. So this afternoon, we just have a little quick chore I'd like to get done. We got to move some equipment around in the shed. Some of the equipment just needs to be started to let it run, let it circulate, keep everything lubricated, and keep the batteries charged. The ultimate goal is to grab the bush hog and the tractor and come over here along my portion of the property, and I want to maintain this roadway here, this right-of-way, just to keep big trees from growing. But I also want to go down that ditch line that we took the excavator down and cleaned up them shrub trees, and that is that right there. So I want to take that batwing bush hog and just kind of back up along and chop up that stuff. It's been chopped for a while. It should be dry enough we can chop it up with the bush hog. So one of the little chores I want to do this afternoon while it's decent out, it's like 45 degrees, big change from last week. We're going to use this bush hog to run down to that ditch line that we cleaned up about a month ago. So we're going to take this bush hog, take it down there, but as I've said before, I don't like things just sitting. It's good to start them, move them around a little bit ever so often, and that's one of the things I'm going to do today. Get everything started. I brought my jump box with me in case any of the batteries are weak or dead, probably dead. And we can get things started, move them around, get things lubricated, let the batteries charge up a little bit, and then put everything back in here. So that's what we're going to do. Hey, good news and bad news. The good news is everything started and didn't need the boost box at all. All the batteries were good and everything fired right up respectively. The bad news is we don't have that kind of luck around here without something catastrophic happening. So hunker down and listen for the big boom, because something's gonna blow up. We're shutting everything off because in the morning we'll put the trailer in the barn. I'll be done with the big bush hog by then. I could drop it off in the other shed and then hook out to the side mount bush hog, the ditch bank cutter. So when we get done using the big batwing bush hog, this is what we're going to hook up to. This is a 3-point mounted implement. It goes on the back of the tractor, hooks directly to it on the 3-point lift. You'll see it when we hook it up. But this side arm basically extends out and goes down into the ditch, and you can cut the ditch banks, cut the weeds and any trees that are trying to grow. The first thing we do when I get home with this tractor is we are going to have to clean the windows. I can't even see out of them. It's a bad thing about keeping them in these open manure sheds. You get them windy days when it's raining, it kicks the dust up off of the floor, and just the rain still blows in and everything just gets coated. I'm not a big fan of these old manure sheds for that reason, but I guess it does beat leaving them out in the rain completely. Well, I was just going to wash the windows with a towel and some Windex, but a little too dirty for that. I figured now would be a good time to step out and see what kind of job we're doing. Might be some Yetis in there. Alrighty, let's get up here. Well, first thing, just a little safety blurb. I'm not huge on safety most of the time, but a lot of farmers die every year or get seriously injured because they don't turn the PTO off when they exit the tractor. I never get out of that seat unless the PTO is off. Unless it has to be on for something, but you stay away from it. So anyway, this is it. You can see the kind of job we're doing. It's just basically taking what's left of these little sticks of, the old trees, the shrubs that were pretty much dead. I mean, everything's dry anyway. It's just grinding it up really into mulch. I'm not too worried about getting right on the ditch line. I'll get that with the side mount cutter once we get that mounted. Right now, I just want to clear a good pathway for when we come through with the side mount cutter. But as you can see, I mean, even the wheels, we're marring down. The ditches are full. Probably honestly too wet for me to be out here doing this, but I want to get something done, and it just seems to be the pattern we're in this year. You're just going to keep getting rain and rain and rain, so you got to get stuff done eventually. So just taking our time with it and trying not to mess up more than we have to. Just a little sloppy. That's the stuff we got to be careful of right there. See that stick sticking up right there? It's pointed right at the tire. So we got to try to skirt just around it so it goes just outside of this tire, but between the two duals back there. That's why you're always keeping an eye out on everything. It's so muddy back here, I honestly don't think the ground has enough firmness that if we did hit a stick head on into a tire, that it would hold its ground. I honestly believe that the stick would just press down in the mud. I mean, these tires are pretty tough, but they're also expensive, and I just don't want to challenge it. Oh, just about through it. I want you to look at just how wet and nasty it is. We're gonna just finish this one last pass. I'm not gonna go over it a second time. It is just way too sloppy. I kind of figured it'd be wet back here, but I did not expect it to be this wet. I mean, I got four-wheel drive on the tractor, and she's spinning trying to pull. So now, as soon as we get done, I got to run back and pressure wash everything off and get the mud off everything. But at least that job's done. I got just a little way to go. Then we're gonna get out of here, go up to the house, and hose everything down. Should come off pretty easy while it's wet. That concludes it for the day, at least in here. Still got some other stuff I want to do, but I'm gonna leave this thing unfolded going across the field to try to distribute the weight, because this thing is very heavy. I know it don't look it, but that thing, the other tractor can't even lift it. I mean, it's heavy. I'm gonna creep around the edge of the field here. And for those that don't know, typically the driest spot in a field is like the first 10 to 15 feet next to the ditch, because the water has already run horizontally and into the ditch, so the dirt right along the ditch is usually firmed up. So I'm gonna creep right along here and now head up behind the shop, because this tractor and the bush hog, after just 10 minutes of bush hogging, have a date with a path. That's the way it goes. A 10-minute job leads to a 40-minute job. Look at the mud. Oh well, it's farming. Okay, we are, well, first before I flood the inside of the cab, let's close the door. We got to hose this thing off, and quick, before this stuff dries on here. It's amazing how fast you can turn a tractor into a mess. Well, it might have only got an inch of snow, but the kids are finding a way to have fun. Just to give you some reference, that's Ocean City, Maryland. I'm on Highway 90. Our farm is down, there's a road that heads that way, right up here in these trees. Our farm is about 6 miles down that road. And that's how close to the ocean we are. Right on the other side of those buildings over there is the ocean. Let's go take a look. Now, for those of you that aren't from around here, this isn't a joke. This is the Assawoman Bay. She was busty. Smell that salt there. Just think of the corn that we could plant in here. Might do pretty good. For those of you that have either A, never seen the beach, or never seen snow on the beach, there you go. There's some leftover snow. We're actually at the spot, 139th Street here in Ocean City. Back in the day, this is where I did most of my surfing at, especially on like a north swell when the waves were coming out of the north. There used to be a great sandbar here, but after years of beach replenishment and some other things, the surf's not quite as good here as it used to be. But you can see the waves are a little small today. Shorebilly in his natural habitat. All right, enough of that. I'm cold. Going back. And to think I used to surf this time of year, I was nuts. I guess I'm just getting too old. I don't even want to think about getting in the water. I'm freezing to death up here on land. Okay. Woo, woo. Get the heat on. Get the heat on. Okay. Heated seats. There we go. So that's how I know I'm an old man now. I can't wait to get my heated seats on. And right now we're turning onto Highway 54, which this road is technically in Delaware now, but at some points of this road it's perfectly straight, and it's the center of the road is the Maryland-Delaware line. So that side would be Maryland, that side would be Delaware. But this is going to run all the way up into Williamsville, where I turn off, and then my farm is only about 2 miles away. What strange and wonderful things await. Oh, I'm getting too old. What, honey? No, I won't see it. There's a pipe. Okay. Because I'm not going to unhook the pipe so I can see your hand. I love you. One of the fun things that I get to deal with today, of course, it's just above freezing and raining outside. Very, very yucky. Why wouldn't the heat quit in the house? I mean, it makes perfect sense. Today's the day for it to happen. Well, it turned out not to be the motor. That's a good thing. That was quickly solved. The issue was the condensate pump. Really didn't have to do much of anything. Hey guys, I just wanted to jump in here for a few minutes and explain what we're doing here in front of all this radio equipment. I've been asked by a few of you where I got my electronics knowledge from. Did it all come from the military and NASA, Motorola? And some of you have even spotted the big tower and antennas in the backyard and asked, what's that for? This is it. I'm an amateur radio operator. My call is Whiskey Germany 3 United. And that's WG3U for you non-radio people. But as an amateur radio operator, I started when I was 12 years old. And that really set the basis for my electronics knowledge. Because in order to become an amateur radio operator, you have to study basic electronics, basic RF and theory, and you have to pass an exam to get a license. And there's multiple licenses you can get. I currently hold an extra class license, which is the highest that you can get. And it took me a couple years to get through the tiers. I just wanted to show you this because first off, it's something different. We're not just sitting in the shop doing the same stuff over and over again, but also because this is a passion of mine. Amateur radio plays a big part in my life. It's a hobby of mine. I really enjoy doing it. And it's actually been beneficial for my family. Most recently, with everything going on, the kids couldn't go to a mall and see Santa Claus and sit in his lap. So instead of doing that, they got to get on the radio and talk to the North Pole themselves. They talked directly to Santa Claus and were able to give him their wish lists and converse with Santa Claus and hear Rudolph and jingle bells in the background. It was a great time. The other thing about amateur radio that I enjoy doing is, we as amateur radio operators, we get to volunteer our time to help in natural disasters. We don't get paid for it. We volunteer our equipment, our time, and especially like during hurricanes. When the power's down, the cell phone towers are down, and your landline phone is down, you still want to let your loved ones know that you're okay. And yes, Red Cross is on hand and FEMA's on hand. Sometimes they have satellite phones, but 9 times out of 10, along with Red Cross and FEMA is going to be an amateur radio operator. And they are there simply talking to other amateur radio operators, and we're making phone calls and letting people know, hey, your loved one is okay. We just talked to them down in Florida. I know you don't know me, but we're just letting you know and passing the traffic along. I've actually relayed, I've done one relay before, and it was for somebody who was down in Costa Rica who asked me to make a phone call to their family in Washington State and let them know that they were okay. So amateur radio operators have always played a pivotal role in emergency communications around the whole world, not just here in the United States. Something else that's real neat is you can talk to the space shuttle, the International Space Station. You could take it as far as you really want to go with it. And it really doesn't play much into farming other than there are nets where basically, like Facebook, this is the original Facebook, except instead of pages, we had frequencies. And there's some nets that are dedicated to agriculture. A bunch of farmers get in there and we talk about commodity prices or what chemicals work or didn't work. It's really a diverse community that you can find on ham radio. So anyway, I just thought I'd nerd it up a little bit and let you guys see one of the things we do in our off time. Doesn't really pertain to farming per se, but it is fun. So with that, I'm going to say 7-3, which means goodbye from ham radio world. Goodbye from Delmarva and high-tech redneck Shorebilly farmer out. Gotta get in shape for planting season 2021. Somebody's got to lift all them bags of corn. and soybeans.